Hi, I wanted to share this participant session with you because you can really hear how, whereas at the beginning of the session, the person has some energy around stagnancy, around feeling stuck, around being bored and not motivated. By the end of the session, they are back in their sovereignty. They are feeling motivated, excited, enthusiastic, and ready to take on, again, that dynamic action of following their joy and bliss. Enjoy.
My first question starts with the thing that's most in front for me, which is the physical. I've been having a lot of issues with my knees. I've had a chronic issue in my glute and in my hip. Is that anything that you can speak to?
Yes, in that there is and has been a request for more being and less doing, a slowing down. And we know that it has slowed you down quite to your discomfort, in that you did not want to be slowed down by an external circumstance. But it is in collaboration with you in this now. Another aspect of it is that discomfort or pain, that unease, and yes, pain, direct and pressing, preventative, or what seems to prevent you from doing the things you would like to do in your life. And it is not chronic, or it is not necessary for this to be with you the rest of your life. We will tell you this first and foremost so that you can know that there is, yes, hope on this particular journey. Not only hope, but positive outcome from what you are going through. And we do have empathy for what you are going through, sympathy, compassion. But it is also a beautiful teacher in that in your being restricted or in your being prevented, you are learning and evaluating and choosing what the priorities are for your mobility. Without this particular affliction that has been in your theme for some time, in what ways would you be different?
Mm. I feel like the ways that I'd be, I don't know, maybe it's giving me more empathy for things, because I value my body so much more, having had abilities taken away, just exercise that I enjoy.
Yes.
So I value that more, but uh, I don't like feeling so much older than I am. That's the thing that bothers me so much. And, my grandmother had terrible knees and I'm only 51. So it's shaking to me. It's upsetting.
Yes. So first, we would ask you if the holding on to the belief that this is related to aging and that it is the same fate that your grandmother had is serving you or not, or if it is keeping this particular ailment in a state of energy frequency that is present. And we know that the pain itself and the lack or the lowered mobility is already in your face, but adding on this idea that this is not something reversible, and in fact that it is going to get worse, and in fact it is what you call at times genetic or ancestral or coming to you because of some fate that is prepaved, is feeling.
I don't believe that.
Yes.
I don't believe that. I mean, there's so many considerations with what's causing this.
Yes.
I believe it's probably mostly energetic. I just don't know how to get rid of it, and I have to, when it's chronic and it goes on for so many years,
Yes.
you start to wonder, well, should I be considering this and should I be considering that? So it's really just a question, like, am I doing the right thing to help myself heal? That's what I want to know. How do I help myself heal? I believe it is 100% possible, and I believe it will happen, but how and when?
Yes. So there is impatience, of course. There is that frustration. There is that tiring, taxing. But when we did ask you who you would be if you did not have this ailment, we would like you to tune into the future you that does not have it. and
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily what you have gained by having it, which is also a great way to refocus the benefits of this particular ailment, but tapping into that version of who you will be when this is no longer an issue for you, when you do have full mobility, when you do not have pain, when you are in peak performance, top shape. What will your life, in what ways will your life be different?
I will adventure a lot more, but I was doing that before.
Yes.
So I will go back to what I love is what will happen. You know, I will adventure, I'll hike, I'll run, I'll just be out and active, as I love to do a lot more.
And as you are talking about what you love, we know that there is a sorrow also that circumstance has come to take these things away from you. But what energetically is occurring is very much so your inner self saying, how unconditionally can you love? And yes, we know that you cannot perhaps go for long runs, but is there some level of mobility that you are able
Mhm.
to undertake, or some other creative solutions for finding that way to love beyond the condition, beyond the circumstance? Because in the holding of yourself in a situation of I cannot, you are holding yourself in the state of I cannot. We are not saying that you can run a marathon. We are not saying that you can tax your joints or put yourself in danger. But what we are saying is that you have not lost your ability, your creative ability, and your wherewithal to find ways to either alter the things that you do love so that you are enjoying yourself more often, regardless of circumstance and situation, or that you are finding ways that you can have partial aspects of those things. So you did speak of adventures. Are there ways of having adventures as well without leaving your home or with minimizing the impact to your knees?
Yeah. And this is tough because like I feel like all the the thoughts that you have, I have too,
You
you
do.
know, and I'm very I've spent years tuning into myself and meditation and reading and all the things that I love. And I step outside and I am constantly looking at nature and beauty in the world and taking it all in. That's very core to how I feel and how I interact with the natural world. So yeah, I I mean, that will lead us to the next question, but I mean, I'm bored of it. You know, I'm ready for more. I want more. And that's not just physicality that's stopping me. There's, you know, that's the that's another question. But I feel like kind of how can I best help my body heal, you know, from my hip and my glute down through my left knee and my
Yes.
right foot now, my right knee. How can I help that heal? What can I be doing? Diet? Uh, I don't know. What is it? What's
Well,
at the
as
root
you
of it and how
said,
can I heal?
we suspect that it is energetic. And we will say that your next question probably will have the answer to this particular energetic field because, as you said, the body is one of the later manifestations of something that is desired. So when we say that you desire to love or have your life unconditionally, we are not saying that the only condition perhaps is the physical, but the physical is making it very apparent to you that you are holding conditions as the excuse for not having the life that you are wanting to have ultimately, or not having those adventures or that freedom or that state of being
Mm.
unconditionally. And instead, you are looking to circumstances and saying, well, these circumstances are holding me in a stagnant position. They're restricting my freedom. They're restricting my mobility. Your body is mirroring that for you so as to make it uncomfortable and so as to make you look at the other aspects that are in harmony with the same vibration. If you would like to heal your body, you are also being invited to heal the energetic body that is simply representing in your hip and your knee and your glute and your other foot at this point. And it will continue to be on your side, we are saying. Your body will continue to be your ally and try to get your attention. And luckily, you are listening. So let us move into the next aspect that you said was connected so that maybe we can draw a parallel and you will find those solutions that you are looking for.
Thank you. Um, yeah, this is a big question, and I've got it written many ways. But it's basically I have feelings of let me say a couple of things. Oftentimes I'll just be in thought with myself, and I'll just be frustrated at how bored I feel inside and how stagnant I feel. Like I'm not I like I need something new, and I feel like I don't know what it is. I don't know how to go about it. I feel like I need more clarification on it. In addition to that, I was thinking about it last night and I wrote down, I know what strength, determination, focus, excitement, creative pursuit, and anticipation feel like. Um, and I'm feeling so little of those feelings lately. So I can come up with ideas, but I don't feel those great energies behind them that make me really want to pursue them. And I don't know if there's something else coming down the pipeline that I'm just on hold and pause for, or if I'm just not moving myself towards something as I could be. So, yeah. Does that make sense?
It does, and it is both. In other words, there is always something coming for you, as everything is coming for you. And simultaneously, when you are feeling sensations of boredom, what is occurring is those tiny little inspirations are not being followed. So, the way that your inspirations and your excitement ultimately are amplified is by you saying yes. And sometimes you do get yourself in positions where, also because of your physical ailment, you have said, well, there's no point in going for a hike because, of course, my leg will hurt after a very short period, so I will not go for a hike. In other words, that big inspiration of going for a hike does not arrive to you. You do not take that action because you have learned that that will make your leg hurt. Now, it does not necessarily mean that you were going to actually achieve the hike, but you did say no to the inspiration. Maybe what was required was you simply looking at a website as to where the nearest trail was. Your inspirations are not necessarily for you to see through the entire inspiration. They are simply for you to take the first action towards it. So after some time, the way people get themselves into a state of boredom is they are not picking up the little breadcrumbs in the anticipation that there should be an entire cake waiting for them. And that when they know that there is a cake for them, they will say, of course I want to eat the whole cake. But they've missed that. They are more like an ant that is being led into the kitchen, as opposed to someone who is delivered cake in every single moment. Now, once the ant is in the kitchen, there are many cakes to be had. In your case, your practice will be to begin to listen very closely for those boring inspirations, the ones that do not make sense, the one that tells you to put some extra cocoa on your drink, or the one that tells you to look in the mirror and smile at yourself. Very small things, because your higher self, your inner being, is constantly sending you those things down the pipeline. But you are in a state of free will, and you are in a state of, if you would like more inspiration, to be responding to those, yes, boring ones in a very yes fast fashion. Therefore, our suggestion to you would be to begin to say yes to the tiny little things that do not seem at all significant for you, because they are leading towards that exit point where you start getting more exciting inspiration, where you do start to feel those feelings again. It is simply a muscle that you have not been practicing on the small levels. So if you begin to, for example, if your higher self were to bring you something that was unbelievably exciting right now, would you have the strength to pick up that thing? We would say it is possible that your muscles are slightly worn out or atrophied in some ways, and you do need to start picking up the little weights again.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I'm not listening very well to these little nudges.
Well, at times you are, so do not criticize yourself too much. But if you were to make the little nudges more of a priority in your life, whether it be deciding to watch this television show instead of that one, or whether it be deciding to do something that you have not done for a while, perhaps doodle on a piece of paper, whatever it is that comes through you. But
Mm,
there is a habit or a conditioning of humans that when they cannot see the end goal or purpose of something that seems useless, they often do not allow themselves the small joy that comes with that useless thing.
mm,
Perhaps you have decided that you would like to sort out the spare buttons that you had in a drawer. If that is
mhm.
what the inspiration is, saying no to that inspiration, yes, means you do not have a drawer of sorted out buttons, which of course is not practical, not useful, and has absolutely no purpose. But you have also said to your inner being, I am not willing to listen to you in this now moment. And your inner being, respecting your free will go, okay, we will try again tomorrow with something equally of that level of excitement. And no,
Mm,
sorting buttons for most people does not feel exciting, but it might feel nourishing to you in that moment. Or it might lead
yeah.
you to something else. You might decide, well, actually, I had that sweater that lost this button. I will now sew it on. And then you might wear that sweater. And then you might go for a drink with a friend and be very happy to have been wearing that sweater that you salvaged. Do you understand how it works?
I do. I actually feel like I do that. I feel like that's what I'm all about. I'm very much in conversation with myself, and I spend a lot of time by myself. I feel like I do those things. But I will absolutely be paying attention to make sure that I'm not ignoring those little nudges. It does make sense to me that you have to kind of like build the strength
Yes.
for the bigger ones. And I think that's it. Like the bigger ones, I don't, that makes sense. But perhaps I don't have that energetic strength to actually do them.
Yes. And there
Um,
are other techniques that you can use, which we'll suggest in this now. How often do you daydream and imagine for yourself?
At daily, for sure. I feel like I'm in my head a lot. I'm trying to think, daydream and imagine for myself. I would say quite often. I journal every day. I write things down and I'm often daydreaming. I come up with tons of ideas. I have a lot of nudges and feelings about things that I might like to create. I think what I've been feeling is that I'm waiting for the energetic hit to want to pursue it. So it's like, you know, moving to California, they're all big for me.
Yes.
That's maybe the thing, starting a YouTube channel, moving to California, taking an art class in Santa Fe for the winter. They're all bigger things. So they
Why
tend
are
to,
you perceiving them as big?
oh, okay, well, all right. Because they're not organizing buttons in a drawer.
Yes.
Just
But
comparing to
what
the
if
example.
your organizing buttons in the drawer is taking an art class or moving to Santa Fe?
Yeah. I mean, that's okay. So those are the hits that come to me. And then this is good. This is why I'm talking to you. Am I not pursuing those nudges from my soul as I should be? I guess maybe I'm doubting myself. Like that's a big thing to do, and I don't really know how that would happen or whatever. So
Well, it is a
it kind
big
of,
thing to do if you are calling it a big thing to do. And there's nothing you should do. You did use the word should. We would like to correct. There is no should because you are exactly doing what you are meant to be doing in this now moment for whatever it is you are learning in this now moment. We are speaking,
Mhm.
yes, so that you can have clarity about what it is and then make decisions from that space to decide what you would like to do, not what you would should do. So, moving to Santa Fe or moving to making a change or doing something like committing to a course that is weekly that does require you to go to a location to pursue your art or whatever it is that feels big to you now, yes, can only feel big to you because it is slightly bigger than where you currently are. But that is what this request for aligned action is. If you have the desire to do anything at all, it is because your inner being already knows that that is meant for you. That heading in that direction is part of the expansion that you would like to grow into. So perhaps there is a part of you that does want to believe that picking up and moving to a new location is not a big deal. In fact, it is following your heart, and following your heart is a big deal. So we are not saying that we can tell you what your passion is directing you to, but certainly If your inner guidance is saying, wouldn't it be nice to move to this location? One first step might be looking at properties in that location, or looking at the feasibility of liberating yourself from the location you are currently in, or the feasibility of going on a trip to that place. You see, the hints and that slight excitement does not need to, and that is why we were talking about this energetic muscle. It does seem big if you are not taking those small or smaller, although equally important, steps towards finding aligned action in your desires. So you did
Mm-hmm.
list things that you say are big, but they are no bigger than the minute steps it would take for that to occur over a period of your linear time. People
Mm-hmm.
move all the time. People take art classes and become more skilled in their tasks all the time. So
Mm-hmm.
there's no reason why you could not be those people.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I guess it's just yeah, that's maybe where I kind of take a pause and say, is that financially responsible? How would I do that? I'd be all by myself, far away for a long time. My family's here. I'm married. I have kids, and it just it's easy to not do it based on other things that I'm tied to here.
Yes.
I've wanted to move out southwest, west, or experience more of it for, oh my gosh, such a long time, like a decade or two. So I feel that very strongly. That's one of my questions. It's one of my questions every time I talk to anybody, any higher beings, is is there a place that energetically you'd recommend I visit that would be of high resonance for me and of high value for me?
Well, we do see that you already have the answer to this question because there are things that draw you specifically. And so it would be only confirmation of what you are already feeling for us to say any one place. From our perspective, there is not any one place. There is simply the place that feels correct for you because you do have that inner guidance that is telling you specifically for your individuation, for your incarnation, which places would do you well to visit. So we will
Mm.
not give that particular information because you do already have access to it. But it is lovely to see that you are very aware of both your desire and the thoughts and the questions that you have when you allow yourself to dive into it. So, that list of concerns that you came up with just now and listed off to us, you can listen back to this to check them. We would ask you to ask them to yourself. Is this feasible financially? Okay, that is a question. It is a valid question. It is pointing towards a fear of not being able to make ends meet. It is pointing towards a concern that there's a responsibility aspect there. You do have that family, you do have a partnership. And the questions that you are posing are valid. They have been protecting you. But the question ultimately, eventually, is protecting you from what? Is your fear of not having enough money ultimately protecting you and giving you the life that you want? Or is it putting you in a position where, yes, you have the financial freedom, but you do not have the life that you would want to buy if you actually had the financial freedom? So everything is worth looking at, and your what can be considered concerns or anxieties or fears or preoccupations are valid. It is valid to have them, but do not allow them to stop you from the dream itself. You can answer any of those questions. If the answer is, no, this is not financially feasible, the next question is, how can I make this financially feasible? What steps would I need to take in alignment to head towards my dream, even though right now I cannot afford it? Would I need to downsize? Would I need to take on a second type of income? Would I need to make some changes to my spending? There are solutions to every problem because the solution is created before the problem is. Your desire exists before you come up with a reason why you cannot have it.
Okay. All right. So I should follow these ideas. I guess it's there's such a broad scope of things and directions that I can go that I think in speaking with you, which I know is connected to my higher self and my knowing of kind of like the clearest best path. And I'm connected to that too. But I really do feel like a whole plethora of ideas. I'm looking for some confirmation on the ones that, and this was like my another question is, what does my joyful self want most to create for fulfillment and satisfaction right now in this life?
Yes, well, again, that is something. Joy can only be experienced in the moment. And it is simply a gauge, a compass, a barometer for where you are in alignment with yourself. So in each now moment, you are able to feel how good you feel. We know that your frequency has raised even in this conversation because earlier you had said, I am bored, and you are revealing even to yourself that that is not at all the case. You have many inspirations, you have much excitement. You simply do not believe that you have access to it in the real world. We are saying to you that you do have access to it in the same way you have access to your joy and to that gauge that will tell you if you are heading in the right direction or not. So, yes, there will be a process of going through all your doubts and going through all the things that you believe are preventing you from those joyful ideas and thoughts and imaginations and being in the location that feels good to you, etc. But every time you are feeling down, you are also giving yourself information about your joy because you are telling yourself something that is not true to your joyful self. So if you're saying I'm stuck or I'm limited by the mobility of my knees or I'm not able to because my relationship contracts are in a certain way, then of course you are going to feel more down. And the moment you say, you know what? I can figure this out. I can have all my dreams come true. I can find a solution to every problem. You find that your joy does become more highlighted. Because of the myriad of opportunities, because of the infinite nature of reality, and the fact that you are choosing in each now moment, there is no way to tell you what flavor that cake will be when you get into the kitchen. And in fact, when you get into the kitchen, we are going back to our ant friend, you will find that the cake is much different than any imagined cake you could have projected. So instead of worrying about what will be the best direction to head in and working backwards from there, work from where you are now. What is joyful now? What is joyful today? And in a faith in what is joyful today, you will automatically be led towards that outcome, that manifestation of desire. And yes, in asking yourself what is joyful today, you will come up against every resistance that you have within your system that will tell you that you are not allowed to be joyful.
Mm, that's too bad. Um, Okay, so one thing I have been feeling in relation to pursuing my joy and having more freedom and taking more opportunity is if I can come up with my own income, because I work part-time right now in a retail store. I'm not making much money. My husband makes very good money, but a lot of that is kind of tied up in all the things that we have. So if I can, what kind of work could I do? Do you have any suggestions that would bring me income, but also not take away from the free, because I have protected my freedom a lot. I really enjoy being connected with others and the world and having time and space to be in nature and to journal so I don't really want to work a lot where I'm just tied to my job all the time. But I do, I mean, unless it was to be a very joyful job, but in the meantime, like a job that is suited for me that I can make money at so that I can start pursuing these joyful ideas more. Do you have any suggestions?
Well, yes, for you, it will be important to have a form of income that is not feeling like work to you, that is joyful. So we cannot tell you that you would do well to be a person who bags groceries and that that will be the location where you should look for a job and send your resume. But instead, you did lay out many of the things that you find joyful, being in nature and journaling, being connected to people. And in here, again, this does require faith, is some of the answers to your questions. In other words, you are in many ways a leader that is here to show others to be joyful and to give them the opportunity to tap into themselves and to listen to their inner guidance. So we would say that things along the lines of teaching and allowing others and guiding them and showing them these directions could be something that would, if you had faith in yourself and if you would choose to know that that is a worthy pursuit, could begin to offer even in this now moment to others.
Thank you. That's good to know, so I could create something and see who comes.
Yes, because that is one of your strong frequencies. You are in resonance with that ability to share light with others. It is much needed on your planet in this now, you may have noticed. And there are so many who are calling for that service. Part of why you feel that desire to connect with nature and to connect with others is also to connect others with nature, the nature of themselves. And it is not so much that that desire is from a selfish place by any means. It is because it is being called through the collective for people like you to hear the call and to rise to that occasion.
Nice. So I could even start maybe like my interest in travel as well. And this
Yes.
has kind of come through to me. Like, what if I started, especially for women, I mean, I am not old and I don't believe in anything like that, but just at this point in life where the
Yes.
kids are grown, some kind of like adventures, like start some kind of travel. And I don't know, it could incorporate other things as well, spirituality and art, and just kind of tuning more into the self, just being with the self more, being with others, having that support both internally and externally through some kind of little travel adventures that I organize.
How exciting is that?
Yeah, it sounds very exciting
It
because
is
it's what I
indeed.
love.
And even if you did start small, for example, you must remember that exactly those people that you are talking about often do want to have adventures, often are in relationships where, though there is love, there may not be the same connection that one can find with someone who is more of a friend rather than a life partner. There is not necessarily the desire of both in that relationship to go on a weekend trip, whatever it may be, whether it be locally or otherwise. Maybe there's not as much desire for one to be social and the other one does. And therefore, even starting with the situation of perhaps a day activity or a 2-night activity can be very refreshing, not only to you, but to these people who are calling very desperately for it, for that connection, for that friendship, for that my children are grown and I no longer have the relationships I had when my relationships were dependent upon knowing other parents, for example, or my relationships were dependent upon having a job that I was frequenting very often. It is indeed a space where boredom or loneliness can creep in. And who better to be a expert in that than someone who is or is working through the pain that comes with that particular form of perceived limitation. You are already busting through the idea of I can adventure. And so you can adventure and offer this to others.
Thank you so much. I feel very, that makes me emotional. Thank you.
We need no thanks because this is information that is coming from you. Therefore,
Mm,
it is you who can trust that inner guidance and trust that this information is valid. Not only is it valid, it's collaborative. There are people waiting for you to do this.
mm. Oh, that's wonderful. What else on that topic of it coming through me? What else do I want to say to myself? I'm sure there's a few things.
Yes, well, of course, that you are loved and that all of that love and dedication that you have given to the beings around you all your life, some of that can be used for yourself. It is not necessary for you to walk around with an empty bucket. In other words, you can now, because you have had that strength, because you have had that beauty, because you have had that sacrifice, or not sacrifice, but dedication, you can now realize that every aspect of you is also one to be taken care of, one to be loved, one to be seen as worthy, as valid, as perfect and beautiful, and that you can allow yourself to flourish in that knowing.
Thank you. Is there anything else that I would suggest to myself right now in terms of just day-to-day health and well-being habits that I have, diet, vitamins, exercise? Um,
You can focus on your exercise as a self-love practice. So perhaps health has been a topic that you have said there are rules, there are regulations, there are things I must do. And for your body, that is feeling like, in some ways, obligation. It is feeling like more strain or more responsibility. We would say that you are safe to begin to be in your body in very gentle ways that feel good, as opposed to trying to get your body to do something, whether it be heal or be strong or have a certain form or certain energy levels. Instead, begin to lean into that sensuality and that comfort that is available in certain aspects of your body, allowing those parts that are uncomfortable to be soothed and allowing yourself to feel the beauty of being in the other parts that do feel good to you. So for you, your body is very much a conduit and very much in the ways that you treat your body with beautiful care and tenderness will directly affect your energetic field and will bring up anywhere where you have not been loving to yourself, so that you can then process that, feel through it, and allow more of this energetic release into love.
Where have I not been loving to myself?
Much of the wanting things to change is automatically you pitting yourself against your body. There has been some perception that your knees or these pains have been traitors towards you, that they have not been on your side, that they do not behave the way that they should. And while we understand why that can be perceived of, it does put you in somewhat of a conflictual relationship with the body. Because instead of hearing the notification of this pain or of this stiffness or of this limitation as a request for even more love, you are at times seeing it as a restriction upon your freedoms, as something that has gone wrong. So we are saying that you can lean more into when there's a pain, saying, "Oh, my darling, how can I help you?" As opposed to, "Oh, how are you traitoring me again in this now?" So again,
Okay.
your knees need more love, your legs need more love, your mobility, and even your circumstance, perhaps, is asking for more love, not to be fixed, but to be understood. In the same way, a child, perhaps, who is acting up, will not cease their behavior until you dig into underneath what love or what way of being seen they are asking you for.
So maybe this all ties really into my allowing more of myself to blossom, I guess, in the world, doing more of the things that would bring me joy, just bringing more back to me and having the confidence to create those things,
Yes, we would agree
to make
fully.
them happen.
I hope you enjoyed that session. It was my pleasure to bring it to you. And I want to let you know that there are so many participant sessions where I'm not going to be ever publishing those videos or audios because perhaps the participant wasn't comfortable with that occurring. However, a lot of the content from those sessions is going to be made available in transcription over on the new Vagrein membership site. The site is going to have 3 different tiers that are going to be suitable for 3 different levels of one's journeying into the Vagrein content: Amethyst, Labradorite, and the exclusive Moldavite tier. You guys are going to be able to have access to the audio, to videos, to transcripts, to special events, to special discounts and coupons. And the higher tiers will have special access to interactions with me on a coaching level. So I'm so excited about this membership site because it is a way for me to reach out and connect even further with this community. I love when you guys leave comments, and I love when you guys are here on YouTube or over on Instagram interacting with me. But the membership site is going to have this element of community participation, challenges, events, things that are going on that will only be happening over there. Because of course, it's important to focus one's attention. I invite you to come over to my website at www.jpherman.com/membership-sign up so that you can find out more about what's going to be included in each of the different tiers. And you can decide if now is the right moment for you to apply for the exclusive Moldavite tier, which is the top level tier that is going to also have group and specific container coaching with me throughout each quarter. I'm really excited to answer any of your questions about the membership site, and I'm thrilled if you guys would like and comment and subscribe to this particular video. It is such a pleasure to be bringing you Vagrein's content in this way. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.